Okay, so first thing I do is I get my design centered, find my center line. I use this template and I mark my center and run my lines. I mark my corners. Now I take my hoop and I run my cross lines on the hoop. There's the cross line here, here, and then on each end. And I run my ruler and a water-soluble marker. And I run with the water-soluble marker, I run my cross lines on my hoop. This is going to be the center of your design, so that's going to be really important to remember. I have my top line from using my grid on here. I know that my hoop is 6 inches, or that it's 5 inches on the inside of my hoop. So I'm going to measure down on my 5-inch mark and put another mark. And I'm going to do that all the way across. To make my marks. This is going to be my hooping square that I'm creating right here. I've got a big quilt ruler that I use because it's what I used before. Line up all my marks. Now on my stabilizer, I know that my stabilizer, get back up here. When I do that, the exact middle of my stabilizer is that 2.5-inch mark going one way, and the 5.5 mark going the other way. So on this, I'm going to come from my top line and my center is going to be that 2.5-inch mark. Same way going this way. We know that 5.5 is my center on this one. And I draw the same grid lines. Here and here. Now I take my hoop and my grid lines that are both matched up, and I run my hoop inside. Get a hold of it. Pull it up. Get out as much as I can, flat. I float everything, so floating actually ends up working out better, especially if you're having to fix something. So this grid line right here, if you look at your hoop, you can take it and line it up here. I take a pen, mark my center here, and mark it through here. And I'll just run it down in and just kind of let it sit. That just gives me my pivot point. So then when I start lining things back up, I line this one up, this line up, and it's easy because you can feel here, line it right up with that, and pin it down. You know it's lined up. Come back down to the bottom. Double check here. My center's still lined up. Bring my line down, lay it down really lightly, and pin here. This will help by putting these grid lines on both pieces. It'll help. You'll just work your way around, line your lines up, pin back around on your hoop, and then when you load it in your machine, you'll line your center grid line up here on your machine, and then you'll just work your design back around to where you need to, using your arrows on the keypad on the screen to put back where you need to go. You'll probably have to adjust a stitch or two here and there and move maybe a little bit, but it should help you get your design back where it needs to be. The key is getting everything lined up exactly how you had it. So when you hoop going forward, having these grid lines already there, if you ever have a hoop pop off, whatever like that, you know exactly where you're lining everything up at. It'll always line up the same for you because everything's already matched. Hope it helps.